And she's lost, I think it's 2 children. Now, I only spoke to her last week, but the pattern is there. It's very interesting. How did the problem start with social services? Well, she gave birth in hospital, and she was in hospital, little baby girl, and one day her partner is there with her, and he said, "I'll change the baby." Now, he'd changed children before, because he'd had...
Changed the nappy, you mean?
Yeah, he'd had other children. While he's changing the nappy, a member of the social services comes in and asks what he's doing, and he said, "I'm changing the nappy." And there was a strange questioning of why he was changing the baby's nappy, and that escalated into the police being brought in. And that was the start of social services getting involved and subsequently taking the lady's children away from her.
What, all of her children, not just this one?
Two of them. Did children.
She already have one?
She had a child. I'm hesitating slightly because this is a new case for me. I believe that she already had another child. I don't know whether that was a boy or a girl.
So because the father of the child wanted to change its nappy, and that's a crime, is it, now?
Well, it's quite frequent that the first contact with social services is over something which appears quite bizarrely simple, maybe a row with a neighbour, and then social services. I have one lady, I know her case very well because she's done a lot of work for us. Her story is that she came home, came to a house home, I think she'd been shopping one evening, and was surprised to see a police car parked outside of her house. And as she got level with the car, the passenger window was wound down, and she was even more surprised to see a lady she knew as a friend sitting in the front seat of the car. And the lady said to her, I'll call her Jane, said to Jane, the lady that we know, "Oh, there you are, Jane. We were worried about you. We thought you'd committed suicide." She said, "What?" And the woman repeated it. And that was the start of social services getting involved with her and her family, and subsequently her 2 children were taken away from her and given into the custody of the father.
Why did this neighbour think that she had committed suicide?
Well, ultimately, the neighbour appears to have been part of concocting a complete fabricated story in order to help get social services involved.
But why? Did she not like this woman or something?
Well, these are where you often never get an answer, because no rational person would do this.
Were the children left at home or something? Had she gone out and left her children at home unattended?
Not to cause any problem. And in any case, the children were old enough to be left at home. The daughter at that stage was 15, I think.
OK, let's go back to the Scottish.
Well, the Scottish one we've printed because it was just so incredible. So if I can just hold that up for the camera, it concerns a little Down syndrome girl called Holly Gregg.
And presumably the mother and the daughter are happy to have their photographs.
Absolutely. They are more than happy because they've been trying to get the truth out about this story for some time. And they are delighted that we've printed it. And I can also say that Holly herself is calming down and reacting better because she now knows that people believe what she said.
I understand that the BBC was doing a programme about this in Scotland.
Absolutely, the BBC started to work with the mother on this case in order to do an investigative programme, and then suddenly they withdrew their support. But let me tell you the story about the case first.
Please do.
The mother discovered that family members were abusing Holly. The girl suddenly started to tell her mum that she was being used sexually by members of the family. And then subsequently, she named with great accuracy a string of other people, which included a sheriff, they included a police officer.
A sheriff in Scotland?
Scotland, is a magistrate, yeah, a JP, basically, I think is the correct thing. But a police officer, social workers, carers who were actually appointed to care for Holly. And she described in great detail what was done to her, where it was done, who was present, and in many cases there were men and women and other children present. So this is paedophile abuse within a swinging environment.
I've got to say here that it is only recently that I've become aware that women are paedophiles too, because of that case with the nursery where they were taking pictures.
Well, a lot of the newspapers will have you believe that the only paedophiles are sort of dirty old men in raincoats, and that's absolutely not true. It's right through the structure of society. This is why we know, and evidence has shown, that we have everybody from members of parliament, judges, senior military people who are perverted in this way. It is not the case that it's simply some old man on the street corner. And the other thing, and I was shocked to learn this as well, is that the percentage of women involved is very high. I don't believe it's as high as 50%, but according to one police officer, it's certainly around 40–45%. And in many cases, the women can be the worst of the abusers. So there's some facts here which are not very nice. So the girl recounts in great detail what was done to her, where it was done, which house, who was present, what the relationship between people were they husband and wife, did they have their children there? And Holly has been described accurately as a reliable witness.
By whom?
By the assessments that were done by the police at the start of this incident.
Investigation?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But no action was taken by the judicial system in Scotland.
Why?
Well, let me tell you the story and then we'll ask the question why.
Okay.
The mother tried to fight to get the police to do a full investigation, to take it to court, to get action, and she got blocked and stalled and blocked. And then one day she'd gone downstairs from her flat to empty the rubbish bin, and she found, to her surprise, a group of people standing outside the entrance to her flat, which included a police officer. She didn't take any notice, she emptied the bin, and then as she went to go back into her flat, the police officer said to her, Mrs. Gregg, can we come in? And she said, I was surprised by the number of people, but I let them into the flat. The moment they got in the flat, she was forced to the ground. She had her trousers pulled down and a hypodermic needle stuck in her backside. And when she woke up, she was in a psychiatric unit. And she was in a psychiatric unit for several days until she got herself out by protest and compliance. And then she immediately did something very, very sensible. She went and had a psychiatric assessment.
What, on her own bat? On her own bat,
and she got a clean bill of health. And then she tried to get this case brought to justice.
So what grounds was she told? Why was she told? What excuse did they give that they seized her in this way?
They obfuscate.
This unlawful way. I mean,
they obfuscate, and that means that it's all rather woolly blurry. Yes, we're going to interview some people. Times go past, weeks go past. Have you done anything? Well, yes, we've interviewed this person, although that wasn't actually true. And so the time ticks. It's always to delay, to stall. It's done very in a smokescreen way. Now, eventually, this lady was able to ram through that something should be done, and I've got to jump. She is awarded criminal injuries payment.
What, for being seized and sent to a psychiatrist?
No, for the daughter.
For the daughter?
Yeah. But how can you award...
for her daughter being habitually raped?
Yeah, how can you award criminal injuries if there hasn't been a criminal case?
Are they trying to pay her off, do you think?
We would think so. Now, this lady...
Again, I have to say that is your opinion, and it can't be the opinion of this
The viewers
programme.
can decide for themselves. I can only help get the facts across. So this lady continues to fight. The BBC dropped the case. Now, in a
What about the legal case? What about the prosecution?
Nothing happens. The police don't do anything. Grampian police don't do anything.
What about the Procurator Fiscal?
She doesn't do anything. Nothing happens, and in fact, the Procurator Fiscal appears in a Telegraph article dated 26th of May 2001, where she had to apologise to another 10-year-old girl after sexual abuse, it collapsed. There was no case because of the time it took to come to court.
And then apparently the judge said that because of that it took so long, even though there doesn't seem to be a statute of limitations.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. They didn't need to be a case.
The judge threw it out because it takes so long to go to court.
Yeah.
And isn't this same judge somehow?
Well, this is the same Procurator Fiscal who at the moment doesn't want to make a statement on her involvement with the case.